I've got an LV main and an LV service, and I've got a lighting column here. Okay. If I connect my Genny onto here, think about what we talked about before, guys. We got 100% on this, 50. The house takes 10, and I've got 40 left. Hopefully that makes sense. So to visualize this, what we're trying to say here is that the Genny signal on the LV main is big, and the Genny signal on the house service is small. What that usually means is that I can find the house service here, but then when I start to follow it down here, okay, I can't quite get it accurately where it meets the main. Yeah. Now, this is where we have to consider what are we doing in this street. So thinking about somebody that's digging a hole and excavating, if they're excavating over here, I would personally argue that that's enough. And what I mean by that is they know where the house service is, and they know that it's not near their excavation. So the point where it exactly meets that main is a bit irrelevant, really. So I would say that that's fine. That's enough. Yeah, we're happy that we found the house service. It's not what we're digging. However, what if we was digging here? If we had to dig near that house service, I would now argue that that's not enough. That level of accuracy to me isn't good enough. So what we do instead, I shouldn't have deleted the whole lot, but I did. That's our house again, same thing. So if this, oh, sorry, something's foul. We're back, yeah. So if we click on the house instead of the column, can you see what's going to happen now? We've got 100% on here, and then we've got the weaker signal, the 50-50, if we call it 50-50 on the LV main. So now it becomes easier to trace this to here. Okay. Another example quickly, and I want to show you how important this is. I've got a little example of this in relation to cable strikes that have happened in the past. Imagine this scenario. We have a house. This is the garden wall, if you like. So this bit here is like the driveway. Okay. Then we have the LV main with the service coming out of the house, then running parallel and then back onto it. That's not uncommon, that, guys. Does that picture make sense, guys? First of all, just chuck me a yes in there. Okay. Doesn't look right to me, but hopefully you get the idea. This is the cable. Yeah. Lamp column here. So clip on the column. 100% on this, 50, that takes 10, and I've got 40 here. Okay, now we scan across here and we find that cable on the driveway, no problem. We then follow it down, but then when we get to here, what do you think happens now? We end up on here. As far as we're concerned, that meets the main here, because we can't see that 10 when it's next to the 40 because it's so close. We can see the 10 up here, because there's nothing bigger that's right next to it, if that makes sense, guys. But when we put that 10 next to the 40, it becomes very difficult to see the 10. Not impossible. So typically, that's the kind of cables that get hit. However, if we apply the signal to the property, the signal on this one now is 100. You see that? The signal on this one is 50. We've completely reversed the situation. The big signal now is on the service, not on the main, and it makes it easier. Even when you've got them coming across and looping back on, it's much easier to work off that building. So if you are out on site with the guys and you're in charge of teams, just try and encourage them to think about where they're actually applying that Genny signal. Okay, the Genny's great, it's fantastic, but we have to understand that it's not magic. There's still limitations with it that we need to understand. Any questions on that, guys? Again, I hope everyone's all right with that. It's so difficult not seeing your faces, but I hope everyone understands that. The other thing that's also important as well, and I come across this quite a lot, going back to this one we talked about. Do you remember we talked about how each of these joints will lose